It's okay. Now it's just we're filling the caption up with butts. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It's okay because I didn't actually have the captions set up on the overlay. That was my bad. That was my whoopsie doodle. It's almost like I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I even forgot to turn all my lights on. After a boring start. Hi, everybody. No, not at all. Hi, though. I'm Anita. It's nice of you to think that I have my shit put together. My pronouns are she, they. And we've got an amazing guest today. Perfect segue. Perfect transition. We did not take 15 plus minutes actually introducing our guest. Katie, tell us about yourself. Oh no, what? Oh, guest sounds. Did that drop the... Why did
One second, everybody.
What?
Now you can hear everybody.
Oh, hooray. Okay,
There it
now
is.
they won't know those terrible things that I just...
Oh, man. I was
that
just
were very visible in the captions.
I was
I'll
just
do it
over
again.
here saying all the slurs. No, I mean, so
That's my fault. Last week I had the hat on.
Hi, everybody. I can't. It's too early. It's too early. All right. We're back. We're focused. We're fine. Take two. Hi, everybody. I'm Kate. My pronouns are she, they. I go by CatieOsaurus on most corners of the internet. I talk about ADHD and depression. I'm a mental health educator and advocate. And as it happens, I also really like Dungeons and Dragons and apparently having like weird opinions about Star Wars, but that was behind the scenes. So there.
That's available on our podcast for our patrons.
Available on the podcast. And yeah, I play D&D. I'm on TikTok. I have Twitch and a podcast, all sorts of cool stuff. I always assume somebody else is going to introduce me, so I still haven't learned how to do this part. So now I'm going to drink my coffee.
You're all good. Hey, Noir, do you want to just go over your intro again very quickly so that way chat does not try to claim our bingo spot on a technicality?
I'm Noir. Y'all motherfuckers know what it is by now.
Great. Amazing.
Wait, I want that to be my intro. That's way better.
Hey, try it out. See how you like it.
See, like, y'all motherfuckers know what it is right now. I can't
like
do
it.
it.
I like
It's not-
it
it's
works
not
for
as
you.
good.
It just
It's
takes
not
a
as
little
good.
bit of practice. You just
It's
you gotta
good.
mean it.
I'm not
Say it with
cool
your chest.
enough. I'm not
Say it
cool
with your
enough.
chest. You got this. By the time we're done with you today, that's how you gonna introduce yourself all over the place. I'm Katie. Y'all motherfuckers know what it is. Let's go.
I look forward to seeing that being the intro on TikTok for the next video.
This entire show just becomes like a 90s movie montage of like making the nerdy girl cool. At the end, we'll take off my glasses. Oh shit, she was hot the whole time. Like, it'll be great.
It's gonna be a mix of She's All There to Save the Last Day.
That's exactly it. And then I'll do the like Julia Stiles ballet dance. From,
Please God no.
Like at the end.
From Step It Up.
No, okay, so this is where we officially go off the rails because I have to say this. When I saw Save the Last Dance the first time, I recall thinking that ballet hip hop routine was fire. I remember in my head like she is killing it, and I watched it again recently. What the fuck was she doing?
I was like, I did the same thing because that's been like a TikTok trend is people like recreating the dance and being like, this is so bad. But I remember being like 12 and thinking that was the coolest shit that I had ever seen in my entire life. And I was like, I want to be just like Julia Stiles when I grow up. She's so cool. And now I'm just like, that was arguably very bad. It was very bad. We all collectively decided it was amazing.
It's like you've got the judges pretending like, yes, this is different. We approve of it. And I'm like, am I taking crazy pills? Well, sorry, aimless term. Am I losing my mind here? Like,
me. That was the part.
Oh.
Because my background is in stage management. And so for me, like I've always spent a lot of time wondering about the like 30 seconds of that dance that you don't see, where she'd be like, oh, just a second. And she like awkwardly like goes and she gets a chair and she like puts it in the middle of the stage. And then she's like, and then now we're back. Like, it's just like, I want that to be part of it. Just, I want the chair shuffle to be part of.
Didn't she like ballet step to go get the fucking
yeah, she was like,
she was on her tippy toes, like, I'll be right back.
It's like, and I almost feel bad because it's like, I could tell that it was like one of those things where Julia Stiles was like, no, I really want to do it. But like, I don't think she was that good of a dancer. And so they had to just kind of like make do. And so I was just like, I mean, good for her. She tried, she was invested, but it is arguably a very bad dance.
There was an
Just don't know how they duped an entire generation into thinking that was cool until we hit our 20s.
I don't know. But it's very recently I saw it come up on TikTok and I was like, oh no, that's not nearly as cool as I remember it being.
So hi everybody, this is the Tabletop Show.
Welcome to our tabletop / intimate discussions of dance movies from the early 2000s.
We're talking about The Revenant earlier before.
This is just reviewing movies now. Really crushing this so far. I feel good about it.
I kind of feel like our goal of the show is to have every guest leave like, what the fuck even was that?
Listen, this has been I want you to know, like, we're like 20 minutes in. This has been the best thing that I've done for my mental health all week. So like, let's just keep the energy. Let's just keep it. Like we're
I
here.
like the energy that we're making into the studio.
I'm very comfortable with the energy we're creating in the studio today.
Good. I am glad because I'm always like, people come here to have like professional conversations about, their projects and tabletop RPG. And then I'm just like, farts are weird, right? Like, so.
You know what? Yeah, they are.
Listen, I don't like automatically assume that I was like, oh, like we're friends now. But like, you were like, before we started, Anita was like, hey, shut up so we can clear the captions. And you were like, butts. And that was exactly what I had thought to do. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I said butts? But I was like, I don't want to do that. That's like unprofessional. And then you immediately did it. And I was just like, okay, like this is, I have found
this
friends.
This is a safe space.
This is a safe space for me. It was amazing. It was just a moment of like beautiful, like yes brains.
I need to take a second real quick because one of us needs to be pseudo professional and thank our patrons, Glyza and Sphinx Roll for supporting us at the $12 tier. So you get Bad Movie Night, which means we need to watch another Dungeons and Dragons movie.
No. Okay, I'm so sorry that you have to be here for this argument. Look, we agreed that it was Bad Movie Night, right? We did not say we had to watch the entire Dungeons and Dragons franchise. I watched the first one. Please don't make me watch the second one. It doesn't even have Jeremy Irons in it. Yes, Kate?
How many Dungeons and Dragons movies are there?
3.
Too many.
There's 3?
No, there's
3.
4.
Oh, there's
Okay.
4.
Well, and there's a new one coming out, right? They haven't made
that one might be good. That one might be good.
That one might be good. It's fine. Okay.
So the first one was an in-theater movie with Jeremy Irons, and they actually tried a little bit. The second one and the third one were both sci-fi channel movies. And then the fourth one is a fan-made movie. Please don't make me do this. We can watch any of the bad movies.
I have a suggestion.
Oh, yes, please save me.
Okay. There's a movie. It came out a few years ago. It's called Seventh Son. And
with Nicolas Cage!
I think it has Nicolas Cage, but it also has, oh God, what's his name? The guy from The Big Lebowski.
Oh no, I'm thinking of a different movie. You're talking about Seventh Son, which has
Jeff Bridges. That's who it is.
Jeff Bridges, and it also has the kid from the Chronicles of Narnia movie.
Yeah, but it is okay. Here's the thing about Seventh Son. It is. I'm not joking. It is truly the worst movie that I've ever seen. Like when we went to go see it, we were like, "Oh, cool! It's like a dragons movie, like Nino, like sword fights, cool." And like halfway through the movie, it was the type of bad where it's like you can't even enjoy it because it's just a bad movie. But But again, one of the things that I like to do is put like little narratives over a movie, and then movies become more enjoyable. And so what I did is I was like, okay, watch Seventh Son, but pretend like you're watching it as like a D&D campaign with like a first time DM who's like is like really trying his best. And like for some reason watching Seventh Son but pretending that it's some poor DM's like failure of a campaign, it makes it a hugely entertaining movie because you're just like, oh no, like what like it's a much better movie. But
the campaign just went off the rails early on.
I have to tell you, Kate, I need to watch a movie with you.
It's really fun. It's really fun because like, so I get very distracted during movies because I have ADHD, but my husband is autistic. And so he really struggles with movies where they're like not good. Like it's like one of his things where he's like, if it's a bad movie, he like struggles. And so he does this thing where he fixes movies and they're always better. He has this amazing skill where he can just be like, oh, they should have done this, 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 and this. And if they did, it would have been an amazing movie. And so sometimes he'll just be like driving home in the car. He's like, you know, that movie's really good if you just imagine it as like a bad D&D campaign. And I went, oh my God, yes. So that's it. My husband has this weird, shitty superpower.
It's the okay. So just to give you all a glimpse, behind the scenes, we were talking about The Revenant, and the way that he fixed The Revenant, or the way that they fixed The Revenant, is that they imagined somebody told Leonardo DiCaprio that an Academy Award was hidden somewhere.
It's in the forest. Is it up the tree, Leo? You're gonna have to climb it. You're gonna have to fight a bear, maybe, Leo. I don't know. The Academy Award somewhere around here. Just keep looking. Is it in the horse, Leo? Where is it? Is it in the house, Leo? Did you look in the house? It's pretty fun that way.
So this is why I keep saying, like, I might need to watch a movie with you one day. Are we talking about bad movies? Yes, we are talking. Okay, but Anita, my love, do I have to watch Dungeons and Dragons too?
Glyza says yes.
I hate this chat. Okay, anyway, so let's.
Okay, I'll watch it separately. And then I'll come up with a framework to which you can watch it and enjoy it. And then I'll email you and I'll be like, all right.
I've heard that the second one is like better than the first in that like they stopped. I don't know. I don't know.
You can't even bullshit your way out of this. I just want you. Well, I'm watching you
was
try.
acting his ass off.
Right.
But hey, our favorite Maybelline mascot made it back for the second movie.
I'm done with you. So, I have a question.
Do you want to know a fascinating fact about Jeremy Iron?
Yes.
Because I don't know why, but I love this. So, Westminster Abbey in England. So I went 20 whole minutes without bringing it up, but so I have 2 master's degrees in Shakespeare, and so I really like history and like sociology of like England and stuff. And so I went to Westminster Abbey. Westminster Abbey has an app. Okay. And you can download the app if you want to like go to Westminster Abbey, and it's got like a little walking tour, but you can rent a walking tour from Westminster Abbey, and it's like $1 or something. And it's just some random old lady being like, in 1427. And it's very boring. The Westminster app has Jeremy Irons doing the walking tour, but apparently somebody told Jeremy Irons, they're like, yeah, this first recording was good, but the second time, just imagine that everybody's calling you daddy, and it's like the sexiest walking tour ever. Like Jeremy Irons is like, and in this corner, here's a very historical thing that happened, and you're like, Jeremy Irons, like, what are you doing? So if you ever go to England and go to Westminster Abbey, download the app, don't get the rental, because Jeremy Irons will whisper historical facts into your ear for 2 hours.
I don't know if I feel comfortable jizzing in public. So.
It's just like, I knew the only 2 things that I know Jeremy Irons from are The Lion King, because obvs, and then the Borgias. And so like, I'm on this walking tour with like the worst Pope, the worst one, just like being like, yeah, and this is Westminster Abbey, like, what's up? And I was like, this is weird and meta, and I'm like fine with it.
I feel like you could tell a lot by a person by how they know Jeremy Irons, because I know Jeremy Irons from Lion King, Ops, and Die Hard.
Was Jeremy Irons in Die Hard?
He was in the second Die Hard. He was Hans Gruber's brother.
Oh yeah, I always forget that the second Die Hard movie exists. But yeah, you're right.
I like it better than the first one, mainly because it has Sam Jackson in it. And as what like so just really quickly to run down the plot of Die Hard 2, his brother is just like basically the Riddler. He gives John McClane a bunch of puzzles that he has to solve in order to whatever. Right. And one of the challenges that he has, he's like a mix between the Riddler and Jigsaw, is Bruce Willis's character has to go to Harlem with nothing on except a little billboard that says "I hate the N-words." Like, I hate N-words.
What? Is that in the movie?
Yes, it is. Oh, sorry, that's the third movie. The second movie sucks. It's in an airport or something. It's trash. But the third one, it's great.
That's a choice that was made in a movie.
It really was. And I'm just like, I respect that. Like, I don't approve, but I respect.
Well, okay, so here's a question. Has anybody, I'm sure it has to have been done at some point, but like, has anybody ever written a D&D module that is just Nakatomi Plaza? Because I would play the fudge. I don't know the swearing rules. The fudge out of that.
You can swear.
you can swear all fucking day.
I would be like, because just imagine, like, you know what I mean? There's some potential there for like a very good, like, short D&D podcast. Like, just like the Nakatomi Pals.
I would fucking love that. See, that's one of those games that it would be great, like with one-on-one, one player, one DM.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
really good.
That'd be so fucking cool.
Just like an action movie D&D, like where it's just like, but everybody's like a trope. So there's like a guy who's like too old for the shit and one day away from retirement. Like that's like your wizard. And then, you've got like a bard who's like the like badass, like, I work in a piano bar because that's the most badass. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll stop. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I imagine that character with the beret.
Right? I would watch that. I would want to play like Hans Gruber. But like I don't know, like a centaur. I just think that'd be very fun.
See, okay, so I think you and I were having the same idea, which is like, I want to play the villains. Like, I want to play the guys that are trying to get John McClane.
Right? I just think that'd be really fun. Just like have like but yeah, I think you're right though. Like, I think having it be like a one-on-one, that could be like really fun, because essentially that's what Die Hard is. It's one guy and all the NPCs. All the blonde NPCs.
Like, you're doubled levels because he's like rocking everybody.
Right.
But, okay, so I should get into some interview questions at some point.
I'm fine with this. This is great.
This is just how most of our shows go, anyways.
This is the vibe is immaculate. Like, frankly, thank you. Like, and I'm not even joking. Like, I've had a really rough week. Like, thank you for this, bringing this energy. Thank you for bringing this comfort. This is like the best thing. Okay, so anyway, we're doing interviews. What are we?
I promise you, the professionalism is going to probably wane off like after this question. But this is a question that I always have to ask when somebody comes like either from a different platform or somebody like has a following outside of TTRPG. And the question is this: which group of supporters is the most annoying? So like, you've got a TikTok following, a Twitter following. You got people that follow you because of your mental health advocacy. You got people that follow you because of TTRPG content, and it's just like, personally, I've come from the world of like doing a little bit of music and a little bit of stand up, and now I found a little bit of success in the TTRPG community, and I love them, but there are some fuckheads in here. Like, that is just like, I would.
I'm gonna here's a very serious answer for like a very fun afternoon. But my answer is the same, because it's the same group of people. It doesn't matter if they are following me for the mental health stuff. It doesn't matter if they're following me for like the D&D stuff. It doesn't matter. The people who I find I don't want to say annoying, but the most, shall we say, challenging to appreciate.
There you go.
Are there's the people who lack empathy, like people who cannot find it within themselves to step into the shoes of another person and say, how might they be feeling about this? How might they be affected by whatever I'm about to say? And the thing that I find a lot is that as like, I'm not a new D&D player, but I'm new to this sort of like world that I inhabit of like advocacy, but also gaming. And so because one of my big things is making gaming more accessible for neurodivergent people, making it more inclusive and more welcoming, and talking about like disability in gaming and saying like, hey, there are real places where like disabled people, neurodivergent people can't come into these spaces. And so the thing that bothers me and the people that I find that it's like hardest to work with are people who go, well, why does it matter? Who cares? You're being over dramatic. Or a big one is everything or fuck up. Yes. But like the big
I'm sorry, that's one of our taglines.
No, it's okay. I was like, I'm gonna have to order some merch now because I need that on my laptop. I have like a very like precious like laptop sticker collection. Like only the best of the best goes on there.
But like, got a PO box, DM it to me and I'll mail it to you.
Okay. Deal. But like that's what it is for me. Is it's just people who go, well, I play 7.5 hour campaigns, and if you can't do that, then like you suck. And I'm like, hey, I'm not saying that you have to change. I'm not saying that there's any reason why you have to do anything different than what you are already doing. I'm just saying it may be a conversation that you want to have with your players about if that 7 hours is working for everybody at the table. Are they feeling safe? Are they feeling supported? Are they feeling heard and listened to? And a lot of times the answer is no, but because the immediate thought is the one that lacks empathy. It's who cares? It's not a big deal, whatever. That's where I run into issues. And so that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. Because it's like, I just really believe in empathy above all things.
And if you allow me to tag on to that, because I feel that, and it's just like, I feel like that's the same type of group that feels that they have a ownership of the hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, the magic of TTRPG to me is the fact that your table can look extraordinarily different than my table, but we're still technically under the same banner. There is no wrong way or right way to imagine a world. And I feel like a lot of people are stubborn in acknowledging that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you do that, you're killing the hobby. And I'm like,
it's not how it works. Well, and I also feel like there's a lot of like there's like purity testing that goes into it, where it's just like, if you can't sit and play for 6 hours, then you're not a real player, or you're like less than somehow, you know?
That gatekeeping mentality.
Yeah, it's very gatekeeping. And then I think like out of that too is like, the thing that I love the most about D&D is like the storytelling. Like my background is in performance and acting and improv. And so like, of course, like I love solving puzzles. I love like, you know, figuring stuff out with my group, but also like, I love the storytelling. I love the character development. I love like that sort of like improvised performance part of it. Combat, I can take or leave, but there are some people, and that's okay. You know, like that is my taste. But there are some tables where like the improv or the character or like the that stuff, like that's just like tertiary to rolling dice and smashing dragons. And so I think there also always has to be a conversation about like, is this table the right fit for me? You know? And so that's something that I really struggle with, because it's like, I'll tweet, because did you know that like a lot of people on Twitter are mean? I didn't know this, and now I'm finding this out, and it sucks.
Yeah.
There's a shocking number of meanies on Twitter. But you know, I'll tweet something about like how much I love, you know, the storytelling component, or I love like this cool storytelling thing happen. And somebody will come in the comments and say, well, if that ever happened at my table, I'd be so mad, or like I'd never play with you. And I'm like, nobody's making you.
I wasn't offering.
I mean, the one boon that we got is the fact that most people like that are not imaginative, so they'll use the same 6 or 7 insults, and it's fine. Yeah. Like after your third, like, you know, news to the DM, you're like, oh, okay, somebody's unhappy. So it's just It's just like it is what it is. But yeah, no, I do love that. I kind of joke in my head that this community is made up of a bunch of theater kids that realize that there's no stage in adult lives. So we all made the deal like, I'll watch you if you watch me.
Right? Well, and it's like, it's so funny to me too now, because it's like, I got out of performing. Like I went to school for performing. I have like too many degrees in theater. And then I got out of it for a really long time because I was just burned out. Like I was burned out and I was exhausted and I was just tired of being told like over and over and over that like I was like somehow inherently wrong, you know? And so then I started doing D&D, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is like performance on like a small scale where I get to like do it with my friends and they see me, I see them. But now it's like my job again. And so it's like weird. I've come like full circle to this place where like now like performative D&D is like what I'm doing for a large part of like my creator stuff. And so it's like, I feel like somehow I like worked my way back into performing completely back asswards. Also, excuse me while my microphone comes unplugged. It's fine.
Oh no, you're good.
Cool,
if there wasn't a tech issue, fine. This wouldn't be an episode of Morning Ritual, baby.
So if I haven't like rearranged 4 things on my Twitch stream, it's not a real Twitch stream for me. So it's real. That's real.
So I have to ask, because I remember seeing one of your TikToks show up and I was just like, damn, I've been read to filth. And then like I started seeing more of them and I'm like, okay, well, I'm following this person for sure. So like, I mean, it looked from the outside, it looked like this kind of happened very quickly, where it was just like, you know, you tried something out, and then it went boom, and then like, then you're you. So it's just like, what was that like on the other side of things?
If I cry during this answer, it's not because you said anything wrong. It's because I've had a very long week.
Oh,
okay.
But the real answer is, and I was kind of joking about this the other day. Like I said earlier, like my background is in theater and performance.
Right.
And so a lot of people I think would look at this and go like, oh, well, of course, like it's perfect for you. Like you're so well suited and stuff. And the thing that I have to say, and I realize this maybe sounds a little bit more pretentious than I intended to, but like, there's no class in theater training for like what to do when 40 million people know who you are. Like there's just not. There's never that discussion. There's never that moment of like, and here's how to be famous, or here's how to be like super successful, because the assumption in universally in most acting programs is like, you'll eke out a living, and if you're very, very lucky, then maybe you'll get a little bit of retirement savings, and if you're very, very, very lucky, then you'll have an agent and a manager and they'll handle all of that for you. But the problem is that like I'm still a person, you know? And so like for me, the real answer is, in a lot of ways, and I say this all the time, and I do mean it from the bottom of my heart, like this has been the honor and the privilege of my life to get to do what I do. I have found something that I'm good at and I'm passionate about, and I think that I don't suck at it, and I get to do stuff like play D&D and meet cool people like you, and you know, all of this kind of stuff, and that is incredible. But it's like I'm scared all the time and I'm exhausted all the time, and it's not great for your mental health. And there comes a point where you can't do it alone. But then there's like this weird sort of like counterintuitive thing that happens where like, you know, you're a creator and you get an audience, and then you're like, hooray, but now I can't manage my emails and my messages and all of these different things because they're just coming in all the time. And then, so then you hire a guy, you know, you get like a manager or whoever, and they're like doing the emails, and then somebody finds out and they go, haha, I knew it. You were an inauthentic piece of shit the whole time. And you're like, no, I just have a lot of emails. I'm still the same person that I am. And so there's like this weird thing where there's like this expectation in a lot of like creative spheres, where it's like you are either scraping by and you're expected to sort of like do it all on your own because that's the most authentic way. But then if you take a step to like work on your mental health or find a better work-life balance or whatever, then there's like, oh, well, now you're inauthentic and you've sold out. And it's like, right. It's so challenging to juggle that, because it's like, I can't read every email that I get. Like I would be only on my computer every day. And so that's been really hard. Because like I want to be a role model, and I want people to know that I am, you know, very vocal about accessibility and inclusivity in the community, but I can't do that without like sometimes having to like have a guy check my emails. Like,
no, I feel that in a very real way, to a much lesser extent. I'm gonna tell a story here because that's the only way I know how to communicate.
That's same these.
Which is like the other day I went on my Facebook and a buddy from my old stand-up days posted a meme that I thought was hilarious, which was, it was on Facebook and it was just like, it was a picture of a hand holding a gun and the gun was pointed at the screen. It was like, "You're my Valentine." And it had like the Valentine's Day announcement on the bottom there. And like that tickled my lizard brain real hard. I was just like, this is funny. I think it's funny. I want to bring it over. And then like I had the tweet open and I was about to press send. And there was a moment that occurred where I was just like, you think this is funny? You have so and so many people watching on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I have to stop. But that split, that voice that may have saved me from like posting something that like would have really bummed somebody else out that I wasn't even thinking of, when my lizard brain was just like, haha, you made me your Valentine's Day. Like, that's not normal. Like, most people get to be that lizard brain all day.
Yeah. It's really challenging. And like one of the things that I think is really interesting is like, so right now there's like a big discussion in the TTRPG community, and I shan't name names because we're not here to spill tea, but there's like some larger creators who have found themselves in a situation where they might disagree with somebody on Twitter and they'll retweet and they'll be like, this is a bad thing. But that person who they retweeted has 5 followers and they have 500,000 followers. Right. And so there comes a point when it's like, when is it ethical to interact with somebody? Because like, to me, I'm still just me. I'm still just Kate. I'm still some schmo, you know, who thinks the meme is funny and I want to share it. But then I have to also like think about the ethics and the implications of like, I have 1 million followers and this person has 100. If I disagree with them, or if I say like, hey, this is a bad take, even if I mean it exactly well, even if I mean no harm, even if my intention is just to educate, you know, people could see that as me sending 1 million people after this small creator, when in reality, it's like, no, I just want to have an opinion the same as everybody else. But there comes this point where it's like, you really have to think about the optics and the ethics of interacting with somebody whose platform is dramatically smaller than yours. Yeah. Like now on the other end, it's funny because then it's like, you know, still in a lot of spaces, I'm like small fry. So I can be like, suck on that, Nat Mercer. I've never said that in my life. But you know what I mean? And like, I can do that and that's fine, but I can't do it in the opposite direction. And so
you can't punch down. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't, well, and that's the thing is like, I work so hard to never do that anyway, that it's not something that really I have to worry about. Cause I'm like, I'm really, really conscious about people like being mean to people. Like I was, see, now we're getting vulnerable again. So I'm going to hold my coffee. But it's my protection. But I was really bullied growing up. And I was really bullied. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't fit in. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I didn't know that I was neurodivergent. And so now, like, as a person who has grown up not feeling like they fit in, not feeling like they had a place in the world, not feeling like they belonged, I would never want my actions to make somebody feel that way. And that is something that I take so seriously, to the point where, like, even if the joke is just about like, oh, I don't like balloons. I don't know. That's the first thing I thought of. I'm bad at improv. I've done improv. I'm just bad at it. But like, sometimes I won't post that. Sometimes I won't post even the most like innocuous thing, because I think, well, if somebody reading this like loved balloons or Star Wars or whatever, and then they see this creator who they look up to saying like balloons are dumb and I hate them, that might cause them hurt and that might cause them like harm in a way that I never intended. And so I really try to only communicate in a positive way, unless I'm like ripping on myself, because that's always funny because I'm a freaking moron, so it's fine. But yeah, it's so interesting how as one grows the community, you also start getting into these really interesting questions of like ethical communication and ethical boundaries and like how do we keep people safe and supported, but also like stay true to ourselves and like maintain our own opinions and have opinions in the world.
Yeah.
It's weirdly a lot more complicated than I think a lot of people think about sometimes.
Yeah. So like, first off, like just in terms of talking about like knowing when to stay your hand, I had a situation where someone was saying that I was something that I was not. And this would not be the first time that had happened. Problem is, it happened on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm at like almost around 10,000. They were at like 200.
Yeah,
but you know, it was loud enough where people around me were just like, they were seeing it and they were going, no, ours not that. And there was some racial tension around it as well. And you have to decide, am I Noir with the 9,000 or am I a black dude that's being accused of something by a white person? So the power dynamics there are complicated. And I sat with that for a bit and I was thinking like, you know, do you stay the hand or do you react the way that you would react if this was somebody at a bar? I chose the latter. I don't have patience. Everybody gets one from me. You get a free one, and then after that, it's your ass. So you know, I responded. I didn't go as hard as I wanted to, but I responded, and I told my following, leave them alone. But of course, the thing is. And this is again the part that nobody trains you for, is you can tell your following, hey, everybody do jumping jacks.
Yep.
Maybe 6 out of 10 people do jumping jacks. 4 of them though will not listen to you and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so there's some retaliation there, and I felt bad. And it's a complicated situation, and so I empathize. I empathize. I am aware of the situation on the whole TikTok thing as well. And I empathize because I have signed bad contracts. I have not read the fine print, and I have chased the bag. And you know, like, people are entitled to feel however they feel about it.
Yeah.
My personal feelings is, I truly don't see any malice in it. So that's my rule. Everybody gets one. So it's just like, you know, and it's just, I think especially in the online space, the degree to which people feel the need to protect themselves varies from person to person. And so there's nobody that's wrong in a situation. That also means there's nobody that's right. It's a complicated gray that requires energy, and not everybody's going to spend that energy. That's absolutely fine. But and that's my segue to a different conversation.
Butts.
I'm a professional.
I mean, honestly though, like it's interesting that you brought up the TikTok thing, because the thing that I've been really interested about in that whole situation is that a lot of the sort of like, I don't even say like controversy, but a lot of the discussion is based out of like fundamental misinformation that was like put out at the start, where it was like, this is a D&D thing. It wasn't. It was, and then I also found out, and this is a thing too, where it's like, as a creator, sometimes like there are people who are going to lie to protect themselves. There are people who are going to say things that aren't true in order to make themselves feel better or protected or whatever. And I can't stop that. I can't make that not happen. Right. And so there's like this narrative going around where like everybody involved in the event was personally invited. And it was like, no, it was an @everyone tag on a Discord server. Like that's not, you know what I mean? And so I feel awful. Like I feel genuinely so fucking bad about the whole situation. Cause I was like, I just said like, yeah, sure. This seems like a fun thing to do. And then, I agree. And that was my fault. I agreed. I should have done my due diligence. I should have worked harder. I should have done better, but I didn't. And I have to sit with that. But the rest of it, like that all came out of like this monumental sort of like avalanche of like hearsay and like not knowing what it was and all this different stuff. And so like, for the most part, like I've just really been sitting in that like moment of accountability and being like, no, I should have known that was a thing that happened, but I didn't. And so now I do.
That's the thing too. It's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And so, but it's like, but also there was a lot of like, no matter what you do, like there's still a way that you can be in the wrong. And so like, and that was the thing that I actually both was really upset about, but also appreciated about, because it really was a learning opportunity for me. Cause I was like, oh gosh, like, even though I completely just like, I was like, yeah, I'll do a fun thing and it'll be fine and whatever, realizing how many different ways that it could have been interpreted by the community. Like that was very, like, I'm so grateful that it ultimately happened, because now I'm just like, okay, the next time something like this happens, now I know how to better move forward. Now I know what I need to be doing. I need to be checking on stuff more. I need to be asking more questions. And so like, it sucks and it's been a long week, but it's also just been, but genuinely, it's also been a week of really, I think, being able to look at the community and say like, oh my gosh, like we are a community, like we are looking out for each other. We are making sure that everybody is safe and supported and heard. And I think that's really cool. Like I like, not like if you're sort of like making, like lemons or like lemons into lemonade, it's like, oh wow, like this was really an opportunity for the whole community to grow together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like fucking rad, I'm sorry that it happened and I still feel bad, but also it's like, hey, awesome, because now we all learn something together and we can all do better next time.
Hi, Lauren. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the person in the midst of that shitstorm earned enough victory off what I'm seeing this week to fill the cup of a few people, and rightly so. In a lot of the anger stems from people feeling as though everybody should have known.
Yeah,
and I think to some extent that is true. If you're primarily in that look, we all know how TikTok works. There's islands and stuff. So if your home base is in the D&D island, then there's really no way you didn't know.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like you float between
I can see like the peak of D&D island like through the clouds. Like every 50th video on my feed is maybe kind of D&D. It's usually not even that. It's usually more of just like general cosplay. And so like I've been trying desperately to get on D&D TikTok, but every time I talk about D&D, TikTok gets mad at me because I'm straying. I'm like getting out of my lane, and they're like, get back in your lane. And I'm like, but I like D&D too. And TikTok's like, shut up and give us free content about mental health. And I'm like, okay.
And that's not to say I'm trying to like,
once
give
the For
you
You page finds your niche, you're fucked pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I'm trying to like make an excuse for you or anything. It's just like I'm kind like, again, I try to be as empathetic as possible, which is like, if I were in your shoes and I made that move, what would have led me to do that? And the thing is, like, when I took 2 days off of TikTok and then I came back and there's this firestorm and I'm going, I literally made a TikTok going, what the fuck is going on? It's like I came back and the place is on fire. And somebody had to explain it. So I'm like, if I could miss something, like, because like, honestly, if I came back and I did make that, what the fuck is going on TikTok, and somebody else like, here's an opportunity for you. Like, you want to pitch this thing and we'll give you money. I may have said yes. So it's just like, I understand. I also understand why some people are just like, well, it's like this person. How do you not like? I get it because I'm on D&D Island.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, expect that everybody's For You page may to some degree look like theirs, and I've seen my siblings' For You page, and it is not the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like I said, I mean, I think it sucked. It sucked that the whole thing happened. It sucked how it went down. It sucked that there was so much just like suckage around the whole situation.
Yeah.
I think like the thing that I keep coming back to gratitude for is the fact that I had the trust of my community. And when I looked and I said, I'm sorry, what is happening? What is going on? Like I had multiple like D&D creators who I deeply respect and admire reach out to me and be like, do you know that? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, here's some links. And I went, oh God, fuck. but again, like it came down to that. It really just gratitude for like trust and understanding and patience and like people being willing to listen, which I think is a real luxury on the internet sometimes. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those things where I was just like, okay, like that was a choice and I made a bad one. I made a bad call and I will admit that forever. But now like the thing to do is just move on. And the next time, you know, the invite comes, I go, okay, well, can I get the list first? Like, you gotta hit them with the blackest question that you can ever ask in response to if you want to come somewhere, which is who all gonna be there? Right? And that's the thing. And honestly, like that's not a thing that like as like I am socialized to ask. That's not like that's such a rude question where I come from. And so like knowing that growing up like if you ask like, well, who's gonna be there, that's a terribly rude thing to ask. And so now I know that like, yes, that question feels rude, but also like that is a necessary question to ask in order to protect my community. And so it's like really interesting that like we have that disparate experience.
I'm sorry. I'm just so amused by the fact that in some cultures, that's a disrespectful question because that's literally in my upbringing. That's the question you ask when you're invited to something like, hey, you know, we about to have a barbecue. You want to come through? Who all gonna be there? Like that. It's almost
that's
like
the thing. It's like anytime you ask who are to be in a game, it's always like, okay, who's at the table?
Who all gonna be there?
Yeah. And so it's like, and so now,
my God, have some people seen that as rude when I've done that?
I mean, maybe, but like you're asking the question that you want to know, and I think that's super valid. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like that's like honestly, that is a question that I was never taught or thought to ask. Because in my head, it's like if somebody is putting together an event and they're inviting people, my assumption is that the people they are inviting are of my sort of like-mindedness, and we, you know, are generally creating like a safe space. Mm-hmm. But apparently that is something that I can no longer trust. And so because of that, like I've been really sitting in that uncomfortability of like, well, who's all going to be there? Because it's like,
That's kind of the beautiful thing is that you wind up taking it as like internalizing it and taking it as a lesson for the next time so that you can do better. That's how growth works.
Exactly. And we love a moment of growth.
That's the beautiful part about the human experience.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's been so weird, but it's really made me think about stuff like accountability and like the power dynamics of being a larger creator in certain spaces and then like a smaller creator in others. Like I'm such a little small boy on Twitter, but on like TikTok, like even on like ADHD Twitter, like I'm not on there. Like people don't really bring me up, but like on TikTok, if the word ADHD is uttered in a video, I get tagged 100 times.
Yeah.
And so it's like so interesting, like all of these different spaces and all of these different communities that sort of like arise. And so it's just like, yeah, like, I mean, it sucked and it is what it is, but now I'm just like, okay, I've learned so much and now I get to like have this like tool in my toolbox for like growth. And I'm like, not mad about that, you know, like I'm weirdly grateful, but then it feels weird to be grateful. I'm gonna stop talking. It's fine.
No, you're good.
Hey, you know what? Here, like I'll ask this question. So because one, my audience has been waiting for it, and two, you know,
someone needs to holler at Glyza.
no, screw that. There is a war in the TTRPG community between two different groups of folks.
Okay.
People who think that dice are the forbidden candies.
Okay.
And people who know that you should not put dice in your mouth. It's a choking hazard. It can damage your teeth, and you don't know where they've been. These people who want to crunch the dice are called dice crunchers. On the other side, we have Stop the Crunch.
Okay.
As you can see in our audience, we're split. We're split. We've got some crunchers here. We got some people that are Stop the Crunch.
Okay.
There is a third unit that's trying to emerge called Crunch Safely, but those are fucking cowards who can't commit. So I have to ask you, Kate. No bias. You know, I'm being neutral.
Oh, and then don't forget about the Swallow Saviors.
No, we're not making that a thing.
Okay. I need to preface my answer by saying a few things. Number one, I am a certified sex educator, and one of my special interests is talking about neurodiversity in sex and sexual wellness, sexual health, that kind of thing, and opening up those spaces for accessibility and inclusivity in the community. Much smaller, and here we're going to get real, so I'm going to give a little fruit snack warning for everybody. Here you go. Specifically, my area of interest is opening up conversations about neurodiversity and inclusivity in the kink and BDSM communities, because there's not a lot of acknowledgement and not a lot of conversation about how to make kink and BDSM safe for like neurodivergent people.
Right.
That being said, it is also very public information that I play Dungeons and Dragons. Like, this is a thing my friends and my followers know. So one day, one day I checked my P.O. box and someone had made for me a custom D20 ball gag where the ball is a D20. Mm-hmm. So I think legally I have to be on Team Crunch Safely.
No, hold on. Do you crunch on your free time? Like, if you're just around dice, would you crunch them?
I mean, would I crunch my regular dice or the dice that people have given me specifically to put into my mouth?
I think you might be on Team Crunch. Do you like crunching, I guess would be the question. Or are you just willing to
all
do
these
it?
Leading questions?
I know. I feel like you're really looking for a specific answer here. I'm feeling like a objection leading the witness. I feel like legally I have to be on Team Crunch Safely because I personally have put dice in my mouth, both custom crunch safe dice. But also non-crunch safe dice, you know, because sometimes you need a snack. But then also, that's my answer, is that I feel like I fall into a very specific gray area because of my predilections and interests. I get my own category. I get like the cake crunch. I'm a cake cruncher. It's only me. I'm the only one.
Cake cruncher?
I'm a cake crunch.
We don't crunch shame around these parts.
Listen, I'm not here to crunch shame is basically what I'm saying. I was hoping that I could pull it out, but I don't. Like, I usually keep it here because it's a very funny like joke to just pull out a D20 ball gag, but I don't know where it went. I think it got moved and I'm sad because it's very funny. It's like a whole ass D20, but it's just, I was like, some nerd somewhere went, that would be funny. And then they brought that dream to life. And that makes me really happy.
You're dead to me.
Okay,
fine.
Bye forever. I was gonna turn off my camera.
That was our
episode.
It's been fun. No, oh my goodness.
But on that note, we've been at this for about the halfway mark. Do we want to take a quick 5-minute break and then swing back with some more questions?
Sure, we'll get into the dark roast. We'll ask our that guy question. My heart has been broken.
Buckle in. Buckle in.
Oh,
I think we actually did the dark roast in the first half, so the second half just
they're
gonna be
interchangeable.
All whack.
It's fine.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. We don't know what we're doing, other than going on break.
All
we'll
right.
see you in 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm so excited. So anyway, I said to him, parsnips, I thought you were bringing potatoes.
We're live!
Hi, welcome back, everybody.
What a hilarious anecdote
show.
that you could get on the Patreon, but probably not.
That's my, just so you know, that is my favorite. That is my favorite genre of humor is punchlines with no joke. Like, I don't know why, but I think that is like the funniest thing ever. And I do that like every opportunity that I can. I'm always just, I have 1,000 of them. I have 1,000 that I've just like saved in my head. So anytime anybody walks out of a room, I'm like, oh, this is my shot. My friends are like, it's very annoying. It's not the first 100 times it was fun. This time, not so much.
For me, it's the anti-joke, which is like, you know, two guys walk into a bar, they have a drink. It's a lovely time.
Yeah, they have a great time. They share their fears, their dreams, their failings. They realize that they have more in common than they thought, and they leave having grown a little. It's great.
Angry puppets.
Oh
Angry
God,
puppets.
that is true. But there's a guy who does exactly like the anti-joke, but like the way you did it, but he just keeps going. Like, they look into each other's eyes and they see the words unsaid that they were afraid to speak to each other for so long because of the burdening society that they find themselves trapped in.
I'm so invested. What's gonna happen? Tell me more. Do they have a lengthy backstory that you can share?
Yeah, it's just one of them whispers words that they've wanted to say for all time, hoping that the other one wouldn't hear, but he does.
Oh no! Serve an 803, please.
I've had theater classes with less engaging storylines than that.
Welcome back, everybody.
Also, you want to hear a funny story about why
Always.
I took so long on break? So you know how I have ADHD?
Yeah.
So this is a fun thing. So my husband is downstairs, and we had the house painted. And so we, like, a bunch of our stuff is all moved around. And so, like, we have, like, a sectional couch. And so we, like, rearranged the sectionals to, like, help the painters move. And so my husband was downstairs, like, looking at the sectional. And then I went downstairs, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm trying to figure out, like, which way. And so I'm just standing there. We're, like, having this, like, conversation. And went, oh, I'm streaming. And I just, like, run back upstairs because I completely forgot. I was just, like, I ADHD so hard. I was like, I forgot I was in the middle of a damn interview because I was like worried about my couch, and that's the reality of my life, and that's 100% true.
That is so relatable.
Okay, well, here's my story to show that I'm with you. One stream, we were taking a break, and I pressed the mute button on my stream deck. What I didn't realize is that the program froze in the background, so that my mute button did not work.
Oh no!
TMI, I ripped the loudest, most monstrous fart. I farted the first 4 notes of Take On Me.
Wait, was it the or was it Take On? 'Cause that's different. That's amazing.
And the thing is, like, I hear music and shit. So as soon as they went, I was like, Take On Me. And the cast went, are you singing to your fart right now? And I was like, oh no, I'm on.
That's very funny. That's one of the funniest things that I've ever heard, and I've heard a lot of funny things.
I absolutely feel you.
I accidentally flashed TikTok once. That was like the scariest day of my entire life. I thought that I was gonna get thrown off of TikTok. I was wearing a shirt and I wasn't wearing a bra because it was a pandemic and we all collectively decided we don't need bras anymore. But I was wearing this sort of like drapey top. And I always like keep a hairband around my wrist because it's like a good fidget. And so somehow the like fabric of the shirt caught on my hairband and I lifted up my arm and just flashed my live. And like, thankfully, like it was a fast enough move to where like I immediately was like, oh my God. And I was like, and I just like waited. I like literally was like waiting for the police to like show up at my house and be like, aha, we know you showed your boobs on TikTok. And I was just like waiting, and I like waited. I was like, is everybody okay? Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they're like, what happened? Like, cause they like, nobody clocked it. And I was like, oh my God, but that's the closest that I've come to doing something real bad on a stream.
You're gonna have a couple of our viewers like going back to your live, like,
no, that was like last year. So like, if you want to scroll back that far, Godspeed. But
listen, I truly don't believe there are any cops on TikTok because I've seen one too many lives where somebody is reading like this.
You see the ones where it's just like people, I don't want to assume their gender, but it's, you know, it's just very like pretty people, but they're just like bouncing as though something like very inappropriate is happening off screen. Yeah. I ran into one of those the other day and I was like, I'm just here answering questions about ADHD and I've got like 100 people, but you're getting pretend boned and you're getting like, okay, all right. I could have done dance challenges. I could have. And I went with mental health and it's so much harder and it's not fair. I could have done cool dances, but instead I was like, I know what I need to do every day is rip my heart open and share my trauma for the betterment of humanity. Fuck.
I gotta tell you, it's a rough shtick.
It's rough. So I'm not even a good dancer, but I believe.
And the thing is, like, the TikTok algorithm will make you stay.
Oh my God. Well, that's the thing. It's like anytime, like, it's so funny. Anytime I try and be like, also D&D, also costume, also, because I do so much different stuff and it's so frustrating.
Anytime I mention the purple site, my algorithm, I get like 10 views on the video.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's like, and anymore, like they're working on niching people even more. And so now my like very specific niche is ADHD and relationships. And so even if I stray out of like that tiny niche, like my views tank. And I'm always just like, why?
I never get more than 300 views. And you know what? At this point, I've accepted it.
It's fun. That's like,
I'm embracing it.
It's just so funny too, because it's like everybody on TikTok, like there's this very like camaraderie thing that happens between creators where we're all just like, yeah, your views in the toilet, yeah, my views are in the toilet, like, oh God, like it doesn't matter. It's just everybody has this like universally shitty experience with TikTok, but we all stay, we all come crawling back to Daddy TikTok. Like here Daddy we all
TikTok.
Daddy Clock app.
It's weird, the fucking entertainment.
It's just like, honestly, at some point it just becomes like funny to me. You know, it's like I'll post a video and, you know, it'll do really well, like 250K or whatever. I'll be like, oh, great. And then the next day it'll be like 200. And I'll be like, dope. Like, great.
I was caught in a corner for a while where, and this is a side of TikTok that I didn't realize was a side, but it's I call it the lost ones side of TikTok, where every video is just like, help me, I'm in conservative TikTok. Please get me out of here.
I got stuck there.
I was like, okay.
How did you get out?
I don't know. I started posting video, like I gave in and I've started to do the filter videos where it's just like smash or pass a Disney character, which I'm learning a lot about people, which is like, I think we all need to be honest with ourselves and just admit if an animal is hot enough.
Listen, here's the thing. Can I do my furry rant really quick?
Yes, absolutely.
It's short. I feel like while I'm not a member of the furry community, I feel like the furry community has been done so fucking dirty by everybody, because furries are like the ones that, like, you know, this is a small community and everybody's always like, oh, those weirdos in the animal and that's so unfair, because our entire lives, our entire youth was spent watching anthropomorphized animals go on like delightful adventures and like do all these cool things. And then it's like, of course there are people in the world who watch that and went, oh, that awoken something in me. Like that makes so much sense. But then we're all like, that's weird. I'm like, you saw The Lion King too, okay? I know you did. Like, you saw
Kobu's eyebrows in Lion King.
I was
too.
Like, you saw the part where Nala pounced on Simba. You saw it.
That
we
look.
All saw it. Give, like, man, respect furries 2022. That's hashtag.
That one scene in Lion King is responsible for so many confused voters.
I was like, but it's so unfair. It's so unfair. I'm like, why are these the people that we're universally judging when we're all watching the same movies and going like, oh yeah, that makes total, like, I'm fine with Zootopia, but furries are over the line. Like, shut up. Stop it. It's fine.
Like, you're right. You know,
Anita, this is going well, I feel, right? I feel like this is going really well.
Very well. I adore every single facet of this conversation that we're having today.
I mean, I just respect them because that's a lot of money to spend on your kink.
I mean, listen, like I had to buy, so my job before the pandemic was I was the entertainment director at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. And I loved that job. I was amazing at that job. But one of the parts of my job was that I was in charge of the dragon costume. And that motherfucker was like 50 grand. And like my boss would get so freaked out about the dragon costume getting messed up. And I was finally one day I was like, why do you care so much about the dragon costume? He's like, because it's like the most expensive thing we own. And I was like, oh. And I was like, and after that, I was like, I will never judge it.
Fursuits
like,
are fucking
ever.
Expensive.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Here's a fact that I learned. I don't know if it's true, so it might be fake news. Whatever. Wait, here we go. There is an entire cooling system.
Yeah, there's like fans and shit
under their
high
suits.
Tech.
Yeah,
and cosplayers have adopted it, but they've adopted it from the furry community, as far as I understand. So, like, if you see somebody in a really impressive costume and you're like, how do they stay in there all day? You've got furries to thank for that.
Yeah, they got like fans and like water coolers and shit in there.
Yeah.
I know one dude who has a straight up TV. He has a TV in his suit. It's got like a little screen because he's a character. He's like a mascot, right? At like basketball games and shit. And so he has like a phone mounted in the head so he can like watch Netflix during like the basketball game and then just like jump around. That's a real thing. And I'm like, the technology is incredible. The advancements that are being made.
Listen, if we get an Iron Man suit, chances are at least 30% of the technology in the Iron Man suit will come from the furry community. And we have to reconcile that as a species.
Hashtag respect furries 2022. They've given a lot. They give a lot. They get nothing back. And it's just, it's wholesale unfair. That's what I have to say about all that. But also, I really do want an Iron Man suit. Very badly.
Oh, I would be such a problem with an Iron Man. Look, look. People ask, if you could have a superpower, what would it be and what would you do with it? I have fully accepted that I would be a villain.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely, 100%.
I don't think anybody who gets a superpower and chooses to be a superhero in the traditional sense would be a good person. There's too much shit going on in the world.
Well, what would your superpower be? Like, what would you go with? Because I know mine, and I know that I would be a villain. It's fine.
So, it depends on the question. If the question is just one superpower, that's one thing. If it's like, if you can have a character superpower, that's a different answer.
Okay.
Like
If I could have a character superpower, it would be Superman's power set.
Okay.
The best one.
Okay.
And what I would do with it is like, I would kill billionaires all day. It's just like, we start with Bezos, we fly him over to the CNN headquarters, I tell him to go live, and then I laser his brains out. It's just like, and if you have $1 billion, guess who I'm visiting next? Watch the world change.
So look forward to the next episode of Morning Ritual being streamed over on YouTube, because we're probably going to get banned here.
I'm coming for you, Daddy Bezos. Me and my laser eyes.
See, my problem is that like I've thought a lot about it. I've thought a lot about the superpower that I would choose. And the problem is I always come back to mind control, which is the most problematic of all the superpowers, because it is the one that inherently is like, the worst. But that's the one that I want, because I feel like it has the most potential for good. But I also know that somewhere along the line, I would immediately warp to like Team Evil. But like, I always very like, I would only use it for good. I would use it to like influence world powers and have like influence world peace. But I also know that I would be like stealing people's houses and shit. I'd be like, you don't want to live here anymore. You should give your house to me. And that's evil. That's a bad, evil thing to do. So then it's like, well, what would your...
You could kind of solve the housing crisis if you just...
Exactly,
if you
right?
just
Like, there's a lot
every
of
single
good.
Airbnb owner into, like, actually putting their properties on the market for a decent price.
Exactly, right? Like, there's so much good that you could do. But then it's, like, also just, like, but then it's, like, immediately, like, but also, like, that is kind of villainous because you're taking away people's, like, free will. And so it's like, okay, well, that's probably not, like, a good thing. But that's the superpower that I want. And I feel bad about that.
If I had mind control, I'd probably just try to use it on myself to get myself to start thinking differently.
Like, I'll use my mind control powers to overcome my executive dysfunction. I'm cured.
Oh my God, that's exactly what I would do. It's just like, maybe, like sleep at a normal time and drink water.
Just
like,
look at yourself in the mirror and be like, go to bed. Okay.
Go to bed. Go to bed. That's honestly, I've never thought about using it on myself, but that's like some next level shit. That's pretty good.
You need to do the dishes. Okay.
Clean your fucking house.
Read instead of TikTok.
Get off of TikTok. Stop scrolling.
Step away from TikTok for 20 damn minutes.
Oh God. Okay. So here is another question that we ask everybody. If you were the emperor of the TTRPG community for one day,
okay,
and if you wanted a company to go under, they would go under. If you wanted
gee, I wonder what company we could all put up go under.
Oh, I know to do. But anything you wanted to have happen in this community would happen. Okay. What do you do with your day?
First off, do I have like a cell phone where I can reach anybody that I want to reach because I'm the emperor? Okay.
Yep.
So first off, I call up Brendan Lee Mulligan and I say, hey, bud, can I call you bud? Mr. Mulligan, Mr. Lee Mulligan. I don't know. It's fine. Anyway, thanks. Thanks for what you're doing. Respect the fuck out of it. You're doing great. You can stay. That would be step one. Then I would somehow, again, maybe with my mind control powers, I don't know, we're conflating. Basically, I would institute a new rule across all of D&D that you have to be excellent to each other. Like, that's it. I would just be like, be excellent to each other. Stop being jerks. That's the next thing I would do. I would then institute a law, and this would be a very serious law. Combat I'm going to get controversial. Combat can only last for either 4 rounds or 20 minutes or when we all stop having fun. That's the breakdown. Is you get maximum 4 rounds per table, or when we
hear
stop
the
having
cries
fun.
of neckbeards everywhere going.
No, but my 3-hour combats. Because that's the worst thing. Also, if I was feeling particularly spicy that day, I would make character voices mandatory, because I just think character voices are fun and delightful, and I feel like it is a little bit of challenge for everybody.
I like it.
But honestly, I don't know. Like, I wish I had a better answer, because my big answer is just I wish that as a community we could all do a little bit better to acknowledge the places where there are still people not being excellent to each other. Like, that's really what it comes down to for me, is because like everything I do is in service of making the world like a slightly better place than I left it. And so like, I think like if that can be my legacy, like people feeling more welcome and more included in the gaming community, like it will have been worth it. But I think a lot of that has to do with people really unpacking their biases and unpacking just like a lot of stuff that they've kind of like internalized, and realizing that like D&D doesn't have to like, just not even D&D, just like TTRPGs in general don't have to be one thing. They don't have to be a singular thing. They can be what they need to be for the people who are playing them. But that's like maybe like way deeper of an answer than you want.
More shadow. The final commitment is that CatieOsaurus is allowed to break out of their TikTok lane.
Yes, please. And I just want to be on D&D TikTok. Oh god damn it. Don't
It's a whole thing.
I gotta go. I gotta go.
It's a whole thing.
The fiery hot ball of rage that just filled my body. Like, what do I have to do? Like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell people this or not, but I'll tell it. Fuck it. They can cut me. But I got interviewed by the Today Show yesterday. I think they're gonna include me in this piece that they're doing about ADHD on the Today Show, which is rad. But I emailed TikTok and I was like, listen, I'm gonna this is the third time that I've been on like network ass TV. Can I get a check mark for you, girl? And they were like, nah. They were just like, nah. I was like, okay, but why? And they're like, well, we're really looking for content that's like authentic and unique and engaging. And I was like, definitely not me then. Sorry, I guess I'll go fuck myself.
Hey, y'all remember that cat that we were that dog that we were all invested in? The
Noodle?
Noodle? Yeah. Noodle has a check mark.
I know. Noodle will plug up verified. And I really think it's because I have a Schmolmish fans. I really do. I think that they're mad about my having a Schmolmish fans. But the thing with that though is like there are a lot of verified creators who have Schmolmish fans and who are making their living on Schmolmish fans. And so I'm kind of like, why do they get to, but I don't get to? Like, it's weird.
This is triggering a fucking rant that I'm not gonna go on today, but I will just say this. I am so sick of the stigma that people are putting on sex workers. It's really infuriating. Like I'm not gonna do the rant, but I am just gonna say the fucking CEO of Marlboro, nobody has a problem with that guy. And he's responsible for how many fucking bodies, like the commissioner of the NFL has known about racism, spousal abuse, drug use, murder, CTs, covered up all that shit, but he can do whatever the fuck he wants to. But lo and behold, somebody show some titty, we all lose our goddamn collective minds. Who doesn't like titties? Like it makes the day better. Like
it's well, the thing honestly, here's the thing that bothers me the most, and this is the part that I think a lot of people forget. The thing with like OnlyFans content, right, is that like in a lot of places it's like you can just like go on and see the content, which is like there are ways in which that is problematic and there are ways in which that is hurtful. But the thing with a place like OnlyFans or like whatever service is that like I am consensually creating that material and you are consensually agreeing to see it. It is a wholesale consensual conversation because it's like you have to like send in your like ID and your credit card number to get access to the titties, making everybody's day better. And so it's like they're so adamant that like OnlyFans is like, oh God, we can't ever talk about it. We can't mention it. I'm like, but you're fine with like literally Tinder ads all over TikTok. Like Tinder is paying millions of dollars to like push these ads on TikTok, where it's like some 16-year-old can lie about their age on this app and like real actual harm can come to people, and that's fine. And like we're okay with that. But it's like, oh, a website where everybody has to be in agreement about what this is and what you're getting and how you're getting it. That's too much. Like we can't link to that site.
Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to why people have such a problem with OnlyFans. And here's what it is. It is pure capitalism that old white men can't take advantage of and profit from. That's the reason why OnlyFans and the people on there will always get shit, but everybody's favorite little secret is Pornhub. Pornhub exists so that old white guys can take advantage of sex workers, but they can't do it if it's directly from the sex worker to the consumer, which is what
because they
OnlyFans
cut out
is.
The mediator.
I'm fucking sick of it. It's like my whole deal is everybody has a problem with capitalism. Like capitalism sucks. You know what? Capitalism sucks. But if it's pure capitalism, then fine. But we're not doing pure capitalism. We're doing it where it's tilted to the side of old white guys, and anything that's not in their favor is stigmatized.
Yeah. Well, and then also now, like, and even more with that, and I think something that like everybody needs to be fucking worried about is the Earn It Act. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, it's terrifying. And especially like in conversation with like some of the other stuff that's going on with like the like censorship of like books and like making teachers like legally like responsible for like, oh, you taught my kid something that I disagree with, so I can sue you for $10,000. Like there are these laws being put into place that are like actively causing harm and censorship and like stopping like free speech, and like everybody's cool with it because the people who are being affected are primarily like sex workers, and it's like, well, they're expendable, and it's like, yeah, but what if I told you that part of sex work, and like a very valid part of sex work, is sex education? And that's the thing that I get furious about. And I know we're supposed to be talking about D&D, but like here the fuck we are.
Yeah.
But, like,
and I'm so sorry. I said I was going to go on my rant and I totally did.
No, it's okay. I'm glad that you did, because it's like because the other thing for me too is like there are so many people, like, because I'm a certified sex educator, and it's something that I'm really, really proud of. I worked really, really hard in secret for a really long time to like earn the certification. And it's so I can talk about like neurodivergency and disability in sex. And that's really important to me as somebody in both of those communities. And so like the fact that so much of this is about eliminating the conversation. It's not about the content. It's about the conversation. And It's like, well, if we can control that conversation, if we can not teach people about like healthy, safe sex, healthy bodies, like what like safe and consensual sex is, that is a way of like controlling the narrative and controlling, like, I don't want to say like controlling the people, because it's like, I think it's more insidious than it needs to be, but it's like, that's what's damaging. Like losing that educational component and all of the places where like sex education is really helpful. And it's exhausting because it's like people conflate sex ed with pornography, and it's like they are two very separate and very distinct things, but making the conversation equatable, like sex ed is showing your kid porn, like that's not how it works.
Not at all how that works.
It's just we're sending people out into the world completely unprepared for one of the fundamentally human experiences that some people will want to opt into. And it's just like, if the world were fair, porn stars would be treated like athletes, because we all watch, we all engage. We can stop pretending that we don't. The internet has kind of exposed us. You know, like if somebody plays the Pornhub theme song, we all know what the fuck it is, and that's not on accident. So it's just like, I hate the fact that everybody knows that we all partake in it, and we're pretending that we don't, so that white guys can take advantage of it. Because if you look at who owns Pornhub, he's the same guy that owns RedTube, XNXX, Hamster, or whatever the fuck. He owns all these things, and we're all okay with it. It doesn't make fucking sense. Anyway, like I can get into this because it's fucking infuriating.
Well, and I think even, and this is gonna feel like a stretch, but like for what I do, it's really not. But like one of the things that I like, because I talk a lot about like neurodiversity and accessibility in gaming, a lot of that conversation comes down to the ability to articulate and communicate your needs, right? And saying, I need this at the table, or I need that at the table, or I need these certain supports at the table. But one of the things that I think is really interesting is you can literally directly trace the line of correlation between like healthy communication, healthy sexuality, and articulating needs and being able to discuss and ask for the things that you want. But because we live in a culture that very much makes it like, oh, I can't, ask for what I want sexually, or it's too embarrassing to have these conversations, or I shouldn't have to because, love means like he should be able to read my mind, or like whatever it may be. Yeah. We see that there is like sort of like really embroiled in like the conversation of like consent and sexuality and all of these things, this absolute fear of articulating needs. And that spreads into stuff like the gaming community, where we see people like, having these like really awful experiences with like that guy, where he's like, and now I'm going to like sexually assault your player for no reason, except that like why would you do that? What is that? What is the need for that? You know? And so it's just like, it makes me so mad, because it's like the more that we stop conversations about consent and articulating needs and speaking up for ourselves and advocating for our communities, the more that we see this like damaging behavior spread. And I'm not saying it's like a 1-to-1 of like sex ed to like healthy gaming, but like it's certainly not related, you know? Anyway, that was like maybe a little bit of a stretch, but it's like I literally do both things, so I can always see like the yarn trail, you know?
Well, absolutely. I follow, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, because you gave us the perfect segue to that guy section. But I do want to say that I'm friends with a few sex workers, and they discovered the sex work via the pandemic, which is, I mean, it brought a lot of time to people to try a lot of new things. And one of the things that I've been hearing so consistently is that it's given the disabled community an empowerment that they didn't have before. There's a lot of disabled sex workers that are getting paid in a way that they have never gotten paid before. They're empowered. They're getting everything because it's such an accessible occupation.
Yeah.
I'm just watching as, like, first we had OnlyFans going, oh, we're not doing sex work anymore. Like, now that the sex workers have built up our brand, fuck them. Like,
that was one of the like genuinely, like, I had like that moment where I was like afraid for my job, but then also like I looked at like what was going on and I went, I'm gonna wait 3 days before I get freaked out, because I was just like, there's no way. There's no way they get away with this. And I was impressed, because I feel like that them having to acknowledge the sex worker community, that was fascinating, because I was like, that's one of the first times like in like the modern conversation where a brand went, no, this is legitimate work. This is something. And I was like, that's really interesting, because there's a cultural shift happening. Like, I think very slowly, and by the like fucking the nails of like so many like conservative old people, just no. But I was like, that was a profound moment. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they backtracked. Oh, and I'm like, yes, they did. But in the backtracking, there was an acknowledgement of how valuable and how much money there is in that work. And I was like, that's something to keep an eye on for like the next while.
I mean, the sex working community was ready for it. They were just like, oh, we're not gonna get paid here. Fine. Here are 5 other options that we're all going to move to together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was like, it was not here to fuck around.
Can you imagine if sex workers just unionized?
Oh my God.
I want that so bad for them. Oh my God, I want that so bad for them. But we're running short on time, so I'm going to get to these 2 questions that we ask every guest. Then I will let everybody get to their Saturday, which is, if you've been in the tabletop community for long enough, you've probably had the misfortune of sitting at a table with that guy. What is that guy? That is somebody who is a black hole of fun at the table. Someone, if they were yeeted into the sun, your enjoyment of the experience would increase tenfold. So, CatieOsaurus.
Yes.
Do you have a that guy story for us?
I have. Okay, I'm gonna give you an option, because I have like a holy shit, I can't believe that guy story, or I have one that is more like lighthearted and funny.
Holy shit, I can't believe that.
Okay, all right. This is a true story.
Buckle in.
I got a guy banned for life from a convention. I'm not gonna tell you which convention it was, because this is like a whole thing. But so in my line of work, one of the really cool things that happens to me is I get invited to play like a lot of like charity games, and like, you know, like, I'll come watch the so-and-sos of such and such play D&D. And so I got invited to what was essentially a I feel really bad at saying this way, but it's true, is like the old white men of D&D TikTok, like table, where it was just like a bunch of like old time D&D guys who had like written a lot of like the original like modules and like that kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm at this table. I'm the only like woman there, like in the room. right. And so I was like, and it was like this real casual game. It was real friendly. It was more of just like a networking thing than anything else. And so, but I was also like young and, a young woman at the table. And so, we're playing this game, and that guy pulls out this character who's like, it was basically like shitty Deadpool, like was his kind. He was like a bard version of Deadpool,
Every
and clearly
time,
it was
always
like
some version of Deadpool.
And it was some like, and the vibe was like his kid had just watched Deadpool and he thought it was like really funny, so he was like doing this like whole Deadpool bit. So I'm sitting at the table and I was just like playing a character. It was like just like some generic, like auto rolled character. And I'm playing and I'm not having a very good time because the DM is like very unprepared. This is very much like not like a character role play heavy game. This is basically just like a murder hobos campaign. Like I was not having fun. And I also knew that I was going to have to be in this room with all of these people for like 4.5 hours, which is like just too long for my brain. So at some point during the game, that guy decides that what his character is going to do is feel up my character. But then he demonstrated it in real life at the table. So the lion, the witch, the audacity of this bitch, like this dude stands up and he's like, yeah. So my character, like comes over to your character and he like comes over and he like puts his hands and he's like, yeah. And, and then he kind of like slides out and this motherfucker grabbed my boobs in front of the gods and everybody. And I'm like, I had this moment where like, I just like looked down and I like looked over my shoulder and I looked back down and I was like, and this is what I said. I was like, is that the choice you're making today? And he was like, gotcha. And I was like, no. And so I was like, so I waited very politely. Until the break. Cause I was like, we're not going to make a scene. We're just gonna deal with this. And so I waited. And then after, at the break, I went over to convention security and I was like, I don't want to be like, a problem maker, but that man just kind of assaulted me at the table. And they're like, we'll take care of it. And the convention people were so great and they were so kind. And they like went over and he was like asked to leave. And I got an email from the convention people like afterwards. And they're like, we are so sorry. We had no idea. Like, we're so embarrassed. We don't stand for this kind of behavior. And they like took ownership and accountability and they apologized. And they're like, an FYI, his pass has been revoked and he will never be invited back. But like, this was a person who was like pretty big in the community. Like that's the other part of it is like, he wasn't some random, he was like a guy who has been around for years who just thought because I was young and pretty or whatever, that he could just grab a bitch's boobs at a table and have that be like the move. And so that is my that guy story.
Maybe you're gonna have to take this one.
That I can't even come up with a name for that. That just sounds like
it was like it's like that guy, but that is in like all capital letters. That's
well, see, normally what we do is we actually quantify and name our that guys on this show. So we've had a biter gaslighter, that is someone who was trying to help a new player create the character, and bit her on the neck, and then tried to pretend that didn't happen.
What? I have at least 4 questions, but we can move on. All right.
They're in prison now. It's fine. Everybody has the same reaction. And like, obviously we've had like railroading GMs, like the standard gamut of that guys. But I am struggling. It's just like the here let me show you guy more shoddy. The demonstrator.
I'm trying to think of oh god, I was thinking like the oh god, I can't think of anything funny, like the TTRPG titty grabber. I don't know, that's not very good.
Titty or I don't know.
The TTRPG.
Oh god.
It was, but like, You know what I mean? It was one of those moments where I was like, this isn't really happening. This is like, and I remember in that moment, I was sitting at this table and it was this awful DM. Like, it was the worst fucking DM. And I looked at the DM like as though he was going to save me. And he was like, and I was like,
oh, of course.
cool. All right. No support. No. And I'm going around the table, like looking at everybody, like while this dude is like touching me. And I'm just like, anybody? Nobody, not a single person at this table is going to say, okay, all right, cool. Great. And so I very politely, like, wait, I've finished the game and I have never spoken to any of those people ever again.
I was going to call it the gestual assaulter.
That's not bad.
Or that this fuck this guy is like how
it's the audacity for me.
It's the utmost disrespect for your like complete bodily autonomy and your place at a table.
What gets me is that there were so many opportunities for this person to go, I shouldn't do that. Like, yeah, it was he stood up.
There are so many mental filters that you could have that could be like, I'm not going to do
like
this.
Tracking through it, you know, it's like, okay, you decide that your character does that, which is weird anyway. But then it's like, now I have to push back my chair from the table. Am I going to stop? No. Okay, I'm going to stand up from the table. Am I going to stop? No. I'm going to walk 7 people over and like duck, goose. Like, nope. Okay, we're not, at no point are you like, maybe this isn't a thing.
I'm going to say verbally, here are the words, let me show you.
Yeah, it's like, and this is what he does. And I was
but
just
the
like,
thing is, he did it in front of an audience.
Everybody. And I was just like, my dude. And then, like, honestly, my favorite part of the whole thing, and this is like very silly and very petty, but I was wearing a really shitty bra that day, and so I know that he got stabbed by my underwire, and I was like, you fucking deserve that. I don't even feel bad for you.
Your titties were armed. All right, so all right, the last question because we have run over time, and I want to respect your time here.
It's fine. I just spilled coffee all over my shirt too, like the consummate professional I am. So that's great.
In there,
really crushed this.
You know what? I mean, after your boob stabbed a guy, I think they deserve a drink.
Listen, I want you to know if I was like 10% more committed to the bit, I would have just dumped my coffee, but I really like this sweatshirt and I just got it. Now I'm pretty sure it's going to have coffee stains on it. So it's fine.
They never go away. The coffee stains. I've discovered that the hard way. But our last question for you.
Dead to me pool. That's what it should be called.
Oh,
dead to me pool.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. Put it in the record. Our last question for you today, and I usually save this shtick for the end, but I'm gonna bully you to come back someday.
I would like that very much, if that's
and okay. I would love to have you back. If you could play any TTRPG with any 5 people in the world, but they have to be alive.
Oh God, that's him. Oh fuck you!
I know it's the roughest.
That's too hard.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna take a controversial. take. Okay. I would do Monster of the Week. That's the system I would play. My 5 people. God damn it.
I know.
I love this.
That's so hard.
Everyone down.
That is unethical to drop that on me. I was like, I would have prepared for this. I mean, Brennan Lee Mulligan, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously. And also this is the part where I have to admit that I only know actors by the roles that they play. I never know their names.
That's fine.
So just know that going in. So Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who plays Charlie on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I think his name is Charlie Day.
Okay, yeah. So Charlie Day from Always Sunny. I want to say Idris Elba, but it's because I just want to meet Idris Elba. Like that's it.
I feel that.
God.
Baby, I heard the horny in your throat as you said
Idris Elba.
I feel that.
This is a weird one too, but Alex Kingston. I would love.
Oh,
she's the one with like the curly red hair. She's been around forever. I just think
River
she's really, River Song. She's an amazing, she's also really into Shakespeare. So I think that, and fuck it, if we're just going like for thirst, Tom Hiddleston. That's such a weird D&D party.
That's perfect.
That's my answer.
I hate TikTok because TikTok has made me, because I'm also a Marvel TikTok, there is a subsect of Tom Hiddleston fans that are 100% devoted to his bulge.
Yeah, well, here, I've met Tom Hiddleston, like, just like very, so I was a background actor. So when Loki, I know that we're running out of time, but I'm going to tell the story. So when I was working at the Renaissance Festival, the season, like the Loki opener where they're at like a Renaissance festival, that was filmed at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. And so awesome. I worked with the Marvel people, because that was when I was working there. I worked with the Marvel people for like 6 months on that. Like I helped them like scout, I helped them like put everything together. I like arranged a lot of the contracts. I met the director, Katie. She's like awesome. Like we're not like buds, but like she knows who I am. And so when they got to filming, Katie knew that I was like a big Tom Hiddleston fan, but she also knew that I was really into Shakespeare. And so like she made a point of like looking at Tom Hiddleston at some point and being like, see the lady over there in the red dress, she's really into Shakespeare. And so like Tom Hiddleston like we didn't have like a conversation, but like Tom Hiddleston did like a wave situation. He came over to like thank everybody for like the hard work and stuff and all this stuff. And when I tell you, it took every cell of my body to not just be like, so, okay, what are your opinions on Coriolanus? Because the thing is, I don't care about Loki. I don't care about Marvel. I don't care about any, like, I mean, I like it. It's cool or whatever. But I desperately want to just talk to Tom Hiddleston like one-on-one about Shakespeare. How old do
you think Hamlet is?
I mean, canonically, he's like in his 30s, but nobody ever talks about it. It's fine.
I know. It's a whole thing going around on, there's someone who's been doing a modern retelling of Hamlet through TikToks.
Oh, is that the one where it was like, if I was going to make a TikTok, but I don't know if I should make the TikTok, was it where that was the to be or not to be speech?
No, this is another one. She's actually done the whole thing as playing Prince Hamlet. And,
that's cool.
God, I can't remember the name of the TikToker now, and it's escaping me, and I hate it. But yeah, she's actually done like the entire like up until like the just after the ghost in the graveyard. Scene.
Okay. Oh, I gotta check that out.
And she's been talking about.
So somebody's recreating all of Hamlet via TikToks.
Via TikToks.
That's fascinating. I love that idea.
I kind of like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it starts off with like, you know, the party meme where it's like, I'm so and so, and I think this person's going to be the drunkest person at the party.
Oh yeah, okay. I have a very silly and very lengthy bit where I have the first like 3 pages of Hamlet memorized, like all the lines. And so me and my husband, we have a secret handshake where it's like, ha, 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 ha. But then we just launch into the first like 3 pages of Hamlet. And it's like my favorite thing because it's just like, everybody's like, what are you doing? And then like, there's like a pause and then we just finish the handshake.
I love it so much. I love it so much.
I'm very fun at parties.
You have no choice but to come back.
Okay. I would like that so much. I would like that very much indeed.
And now it's gonna bug me until I figure out exactly who it is and send it to you. I'll send you a DM at one point.
Please do. Yeah, just message me or whatever. It'd be fine.
But I do want to make sure that we get you your day. So everybody, this has been our episode of Morning Ritual. I had a blast. I am one of your hosts, the one that does not have their shit together, TTRPGs. You can find me all over the internet as the TTRPGs. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Later today, I'll be over on Gilding Light for Eclipsia. Gilding Light is Satine Phoenix's channel. And then tomorrow you can see me behind the scenes as I produce for Rivals of Waterdeep. We're on our 12th season. It's awesome. Okay, throwing it up to the one that has their shit together. Anita.
Hi, I'm Anita or Panita or Critical Misses. You can find me everywhere online at Panita or at Critical Misses. I'm a TTRPG streamer, graphic designer, producer, and cat mom about the space. You can find me here. We've got
Did you just put yourself in fast forward? That was incredible.
I literally was thinking the same thing, like, holy shit.
I have done this so many times that it is just smooth and like effortless. I could do this super fast. I could also do the Three Witches soliloquy incredibly fast. But that's me. You can find me here. We've got our later today. We should be posting up our season casting call for people for new shows. So we've got 2 shows, one on a Wednesday and one on Thursday. If you want to come play TTRPGs with us, we've got a little sign-up sheet. Come do the thing. But yeah, that's me. And I'll throw it over to our amazing guest.
I want to go to there. I want to play games with you. That sounds rad as fuck.
We've got a Good Society game, and we've got a Masks game that we're casting for right now.
Okay, so I'm Kate. I go by CatieOsaurus on all the social medias. You can find me on Twitch, right here on Twitch. You can find me on the TikTok. That's where probably, if you know who I am, that's where you know me from. I have a YouTube now. That's weird.
Hell yeah.
I'm scared of it. I have a Twitter. It's not good. I also have an Instagram if you like pictures of coffee or plants. Also an option to you. I have a podcast. It's called Katie and Eric's Infinite Quest and ADHD Adventure. We talk about life with ADHD and depression and navigating life as neurodivergent adults. We talk a lot about, and we also play D&D. So that's cool. And also, Anita, I do have one last question for you.
Yes.
When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
Are you wooing my partner right now?
Maybe a little.
Just a little bit. The sailor's wife had chestnuts on her lap and munched and munched and munched. Give me Quathia, a royalty witch, the rump fed running cries. Her husband's to Aleppo gone, master of the tiger. But instead of a sail and like a rat without a tail, I'll do, and I'll do.
Very good. I spent a year touring as witch number 3, and I wouldn't wish that hell on anyone.
I have the entirety of witch number 1's, like, that thing, just, it's in here. It could be calculus. It's not. But we are gonna go on a raid. We're gonna raid into Just Dorky Teacher, our good friend Bo. They're online, and it's their birthday.
It's their birthday!
It's their
Happy birthday!
So we're gonna send some love over in that direction. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping by, and Katie, thank you for chatting with us today. It has been an absolute delight, and we can't wait to talk to you again.
This is so much fun.
Can I come back forever?
Absolutely, you are now the third host.
Welcome our third host.
I'm not qualified for that.
You think I am? I still don't know how
add this much chaos to one stream. People would leave.
But it's been a blast. And until next time, everybody, the ritual has concluded. Bye, everybody.
Bye.